So as you guys can see in this video, I'm walking around a neighborhood that is controlled by a gang called the Spanish Cobras, and this is a gang that I've referred to several times on the channel, and I referred to it most recently in one of my videos that I had uploaded, I think last week, where I referred to an incident where CPD had basically turned a gang against each other by lying about one of the particular members and saying that he had snitched on all of them when it actually wasn't true. I think I had talked about this in the video with the Latin King. He gotten into it with the cop and ended up shooting and killing the cop. And he just had bond court and was denied bail, by the way. But anyways, I referred to this incident that happened back in 2011 with the Cobras. So I'm going to talk about that incident in this video, man. And this neighborhood, by the way, this is over by like Diversity and Lawndale. And there's like 3 different sets here. I think there's 2 that are Spanish Cobras, and then there's one that's like Wilo Cobras, and each of them have like a couple blocks, and it's between basically like Diversity, I think, and Fullerton. I don't want to give out any wrong information though. It's Diversity, and then like I think south of that, but I'm not sure about that though, man. But anyways, it's in that general area. So back in 2011, there was a police officer that was killed. His name was Clifton Lewis. The police blamed the Spanish Cobras for his death. So they were reporting at the time, public radio was reporting that within a week of the 2011 killing, CPD had arrested 3 of the gang's members, calling them the gunman and the getaway driver. But prosecutors found the case against one of the alleged shooters, a guy whose name was Alex Villa, and his street name was Flip. They found that it was lacking, and they didn't file any charges against him. Okay, so the prosecutor wouldn't charge this guy with the murder of Officer Clifton Lewis. So he was released. Okay, now CPD, they said, kept trying to strengthen the case against him, and that's in their words, in the words of public radio. So the efforts, though, they said were involving a joint operation with the feds. And this operation was called Snake Doctor, okay? So the snake, the Cobras, Spanish Cobras, and by the way, the Cobras, from what I see, a predominantly Puerto Rican gang. I could be wrong about that, but it's like mostly a North Side gang, and it's predominantly Puerto Ricans, but there's Mexican members too, and there's some black and white members. They were trying to dismantle the gang in this operation, and they were trying to get people to witness against Flip. Now, according to police records that were obtained by his attorney, like the police were, trying to get these guys to go against him and telling him. So within 5 weeks of the killing, police had arrested 122 people that were associates of the Cobras. Okay, so police are always arresting gang members and stuff like that, but the Cobras is not that big of a gang. It's big, but it's not like the GDs or the Kings or something like that. 122 arrests from that one gang in 5 weeks is a lot. Okay, that's a lot, man. So, they were booking all these Cobras, right? Or people tied to the Cobras, I'll say. So some months went by, and the CPD kept on going at the Cobras, and they kept on like arresting these people. And when they would arrest them, they would question them about this guy, Flip, okay? So they called this, the cops had like a slang term for this questioning about this member, and they called it, quote, Flip speech, okay? So Flip's attorney was a woman named Jennifer Blagg, and she claimed that there was something else that CPD started to do, and that was that they would tell the gang members that they arrested that Flip was responsible for them getting in trouble with the law, and that he was a snitch. Now, this wasn't true. They were just lying on him. So they were saying that, they were trying to get the gang members, the Cobras that they were telling this to cooperate against Flip so they could strengthen their case against him so they could get him booked, because prosecutors had refused to do it the first time. So there was an email between police bosses that were tied to the investigation, and this email exchange was attached to a new court filing by one of the defendants, and that took place on May 24th of 2013. And at the time, a commander who led CPD's Gang Investigations Division wrote to some underlings, and I'm using public radio's words here, that Flip had been stabbed the night before as he exited a Rosemont movie theater with a friend. Okay, so that attack put Chris in the hospital with multiple stab wounds. One of the guys said, quote, "Not gonna croak though." Now that's what the cop wrote in the email, okay? "Not gonna croak though." So the commander's email led to a response from a lieutenant. And the lieutenant said, quote, "I believe Operation Snake Doctor and 6580 has to take the credit for this." Okay, so if you guys don't, now the 6580 is the number of a team within the division. So in case you guys didn't catch what was going on in that email, they're saying that the police are speculating that the reason why this guy got stabbed and put in the hospital was because of the lies that they were telling his gang about him. They're thinking that his gang or somebody close to his gang did it because of his reputation as a snitch, which was entirely fabricated and created by CPD in order to get him, booked. They weren't trying to get him killed. They were trying to get his gang to tell on him. But in the end, it ended up just getting him, attacked. And they're saying, well, he's not going to croak, though. Spreading lies about him within his own gang. This is for people that aren't quite catching what's going on. One of the guys referred to a sergeant who was a colleague working on the investigation and is now a CPD deputy chief. He said, quote, "He tells each Cobra that every time a Cobra goes to jail, it's Flip's fault." Now, this is part of the email. The CPD was saying, they said, so-and-so, this cop tells every single Cobra that every single time a Cobra goes to jail, it's Flip's fault. That's what CPD said in the email. So that, they're telling all the Cobras that the reason you're going to jail is because of Flip. So they said, quote, "Unless I got the facts wrong." Now, this is also in the email. He said Flip was targeted by other Cobras. His associate was left unscathed. It sounds like the Cobras are getting the word. Okay, so, this potentially could be incitement to murder, as far as what they're actually doing here. So one of the cops then replied with a semicolon followed by a closing parentheses, and, in text, slang or whatever, that's like a winking face. So his attorney who found this email said that it's more than just, quote, gallows humor. He said this email exchange shows that the Chicago Police Department's Gang Investigations Division is no different than a Chicago street gang. She said one of their own, Clifton Lewis, was harmed and they sought retaliation. So in the court filing that revealed the email exchange, a guy named Paul Vickery, who's an attorney for a guy named Edgardo Colon, who's the alleged getaway driver, he wrote of, quote, "criminal implications for every member of Operation Snake Doctor that purposely sought to have Flip harmed." And that's true. He's saying what these guys are doing could be a crime, to lie and say that, he's snitching on them when that could possibly get him killed. And it's not true. So one of these cops who was, part of this email exchange is now the police chief of one of the northern suburbs, and he declined to comment. So two of the others who remain CPD members did not respond to requests for comment from public radio. So a department spokesman said that there would be no comment from CPD because the cases stemming from the Lewis murder remain active. So that cop, Clifton Lewis, he was shot on December 29th of 2011 while he was working a second job as a security guard in a West Side convenience store. So a jury convicted one of the Cobras of charges including first-degree murder, but an Illinois appellate court in 2020 ordered that a new trial needed to happen due to police having questioned him after he said that he wanted a lawyer. So once you say lawyer, the police have to stop talking to you. They can't question you anymore after you say you want a lawyer. If they do that, later on, that can be a grounds for, basically saying that the case was bogus. So a guy named Tyrone Clay, who was one of the alleged gunmen, he spent nearly 11 years in jail without trial. There was no conclusion to his case. He was just in jail for 11 years. So that right there is a total abuse of the system, right? That's not supposed to happen, 11 years. So in 2020, an appellate court affirmed a judge's ruling that threw out his videotaped statements to police, finding that he could not have waived his Miranda rights due to what his attorneys described as, quote, limited intelligence. So in 2013, Flip was charged with first-degree murder in Lewis's killing, and a jury convicted him in 2019, but he has not been sentenced. He remains in jail and is pressing for a new trial. So in recent months, they said the cases have focused on evidence production and allegations of police and prosecutorial misconduct. One of the most recent hearings centered on what attorneys for one of the guys have called the police department's, quote, decade-long effort to hide exculpatory evidence, which is an accusation that attorneys for CPD disputed. So they're saying, there's some evidence out there that could get these guys off the hook, and CPD's trying to hide it, and CPD's attorneys were saying that's not true. But in January, Kim Fox, she removed the prosecutors that were in those cases after allegations that the veteran attorneys were trying to hide evidence when they used private email accounts in 2012 and 2013 to communicate with detectives investigating the case. So, very interesting, man. This is something that is not good. It's not a good look. If anybody that's trying to build trust with the community, as far as new police chiefs coming in, stuff like that, man. This is what a lot of guys bring up, this kind of thing. When they say this is why, they can't get more convictions. This is why people don't talk to them and stuff like that. So this is one thing that has to change, man. But it's gang-like activity. It's gang-like activity, and I'm not saying that I'm a firm believer that every cop is different, just like every employee is different in every job. There's guys who are really trying to serve and protect and do the right thing, but then there's guys who operate like a gang, and the ones who do that, are basically making themselves gang members, and they're giving a bad name to the ones that don't do that, and creating a culture where it's more difficult for the guys that don't want to do that and the guys who really want to do a good job to function. So you guys let me know what you think in the comments section, man. But this is the incident that I was referring to, and I just want to let you guys know about it, man. This neighborhood where I'm at right now, I think it's a pretty nice neighborhood, man. I think it's pretty decent. I've never seen any bullcrap going on around here anytime that I've been over here, man. But still a fruit market over on Diversity and Lawndale I go to a lot. There's a nice church over there, St. Stanislaus, really historic. So it's a very nice neighborhood, man. Logan Square, this neighborhood where the Cobras are at, it used to be really kind of equivalent to Humboldt Park back in the 90s as far as violence and gang activity. It wasn't good back then. But it's changed a lot. The mayor lives here now, Lori Lightfoot, and a lot of people, from out of town, from other parts of the city have moved in, and it has kind of like a hipster vibe now, especially if you go around the bus terminal and the Blue Line over there. A lot of new hip restaurants and things like that going on. So there's a lot of development in the neighborhood, and it's on the up and up. Gangs had really kind of taken this neighborhood into the toilet back in the 90s. It was really dangerous back then, man. But a lot has improved. But the Cobras are still here. Schools and stuff around there, like Calvin Park and those other schools. Not everybody's doing that. Not everybody's doing that, man. The people that are behind the law are supposed to operate on a higher level than the gangs. And it's not a good look when they don't, man. Personally, I think, humans are just dirty in general. And so any institution, any organization that's operated by humans is going to have dirt coming out of it. It just is. I can't think of one single solitary exception. Most of the guys that I see who are really helping the community, really, living in an unselfish way, a lot of the church brothers, man, these guys who's, always helping out, doing food drives, helping out the youth, going to the gangs and, trying to get them educated, buying stuff for people in need. I know some guys like this, and they pray all the time and stay in the church, man. And these guys, most of them, they tell me that they used to be on that. It took, saying it took them turning around at a certain point, or as they would tell me, God turning them around to change the way that they live, because people on their own are going to go left. That's just the way that I see it. But you guys let me know what you think down in the comment section, man. Your boy Winnie C Report. I'm out.